This rocket. It's crooked. Sorry, this rocket's crooked. It's bothering me. Better. In our world, but then it just like falls into a hippo. Really, any kind of book involving crime. I found a bookmark. She doesn't want to go to prom. That's a weird way to start an explanation of the book. But hello, everybody. Welcome to Bookish Productions. This is Sarah Twilight, your beloved Sarah Twilight, I must add. And welcome to this video. If you are new here, I'm Sarah Twilight. Hello. This is a nice channel full of books and fun and writing stuff and nerds. We have a website, me and my best friend Louise Taylor, who is also a writer like me and an avid book reader. We both have this channel, we both have the website. So now you've got what this is about. So let's just get into the video. Yeah, let's just get into it. But yeah. Okay, today we're going to do a fun thing I've seen booktubers do. I think maybe it was only one. I don't know. It is called genre swapping. But I'm not genre swapping books. I'm genre swapping authors. I'm going to be talking about 4 authors that I enjoy, and I want to talk about like what genres or a genre I would like to see this author write in and what I think they would do with it. I love it when authors really dip their fingers into different like genres, and it's really cool in my opinion to see like an author who has like different series and genres and books and all over the place, and my words are all over the place, so I should just start. The first author in which I will be talking about is Brandon Mull, and this is one of his books. I just chose one from my bookshelf. This is like the 4th in one of the series. But Brandon Mull is an author who's written series like Fable Haven, Beyonders, Dragon Watch, The 5 Kingdoms, and the Candy Shop War books. And I think he's done some other stuff, but those are the books that are off the top of my head, or the series, I should say. I've only read Fable Haven series, and I have read almost all of the Dragon Watch books, which Dragon Watch is a sequel series to Fable Haven. I haven't read the last one yet. I haven't to buy it, but you know how I am with my TBR. This rocket. Sorry, this rocket's crooked. It's bothering me. Better. Anyway, what was I saying? I've read stuff of his, and he is a really good author who mostly does fantasy, or urban fantasy, whatever you want to call it. There is always a fantasy element to his books. For instance, Fable Haven is pretty much an urban fantasy in a way. Basically, these 2 characters, well, their siblings, Kendra and Seth, they discover that their grandfather's land is actually a sanctuary for magical creatures, and that there are many, many sanctuaries that are just brimming with magical creatures and whatnot. And basically, these 2 characters like get dragged into this world and have to fix a lot of things and make sure that some bad stuff doesn't escape that world into the human world. So it's pretty much urban fantasy. It's like bubble of fantasy in like a human world, and sometimes the fantasy creatures actually do interact with our actual world, and Dragon Watch is a sequel to that, but involving more dragons, and I love dragons, as some of you know. So, and Beyonders, I started the first book. It was an audiobook, but then I got distracted, I think, I don't know, and I just never started it. But this boy gets into this magical land. He's like in our world, but then it just like falls into a hippo and ends up in a magical world. It's interesting. So he's mostly done fantasy is what I'm trying to say. Check him out. He's amazing. So I want to see him do futuristic sci-fi, or to be more specific, a sci-fi, but like, intergalactic or interplanetary sci-fi. What I mean by that is I want to see Brandon Mull write a sci-fi where there's like spaceships and like people going between planets and there are like alien races, stuff like that. I think he'd be really good at that because he's very good at making these magical creatures and like their lore and the way they think about things, who they like, who they dislike, Like, he's really good at making, like, the magical creatures, like, everything about them, their civilization, you know, who they're at war with, who they have, like, sworn enemies with, their powers, the way they see the world. I'm repeating myself. But basically, he's very good at that, and I would love to see how he does that with, like, alien races on different planets, like, how their world are, like, how they see the world, how do they perceive us humans. It'd be cool if they had, like, one where that's already a thing, where they already go in between, like, alien races, or they discover, like, an alien race. Those stories are always interesting, too. Or, like, an alien invasion story. I would totally let, like, Brandon Mull do that, because he has a knack for just, like, usually in his stories, like, the characters are perfectly normal, and then they get, like, thrust into, like, this other world. So maybe he would more, like, do that, like, where a kid gets abducted into this, like, alien, like, world, and now he has to, like, these battles between the humans and aliens, or, like, the aliens in this other alien race, and he's in the middle of it. He's just some dude from Earth. Like, he didn't even want to be here in the first place. I could see him doing that and, like, mastering it. Next is Marissa Myers. Marissa Myers is the author of the Renegades trilogy, The Lunar Chronicles, Instant Karma, Heartless, and Gilded. I haven't read Gilded yet. Her books are really good. I have only read the Lunar Chronicles and the Renegades trilogy. I haven't read, like, Instant Karma, Heartless, or Gilded. I really want to read Gilded. So she has really gone out into, like, different genres. So she's that type of author who doesn't really stick to one, but she always masters the genre she's in. For instance, the Lunar Chronicles are fairy tale retellings, but in the futuristic world, sci-fi. Some people say it's dystopian. I kind of see where that is, but it's mostly futuristic, sci-fi, fairy tale retellings. The Renegades trilogy is superheroes. So it's like our world. I don't know. It's never said it's our world. It's just the world building is not really, like, focused on. We don't need the world building, but it does talk about, like, superheroes, and with that she goes into a lot of stuff like morals, and that was very good. Gilded is epic fantasy, pretty much. I really want to read Gilded. It's also a fairy tale retelling of Rumpelstiltskin, and Instant Karma is sort of, from what I read, it's like contemporary, but with a little bit of a magical element, because the girl gets the power to, like, put karma on people or something. And also Heartless is it's fantasy. It's in Wonderland, so she goes out a lot. But I want to see her do murder mystery. It'd be really cool to see her go into the mystery genre, because she's really good at putting, like, complicated, like, twists and turns in her plots, and, like, you know, we discover new things. I think she'd be amazing at writing mystery and murder mystery, or basically any kind of book involving crime. I was going to say she should do a heist book, but she kind of already did that with Renegades, so I would really like her to write a murder mystery. I would totally read that, though I'd almost read anything from Marissa Meyer, just saying. But I really want to see what she would do with that. And why I'm getting, like, she should do a retelling of Murder on the Orient Express, because I want to reread that now. I probably won't, but that was a good book. Murder on the Orient Express. Definitely one of the classics that you can actually get through. Once you get started, you have to get, like, there's, like, a chunk of writing, and then you get, like, into it. But I digress. She should totally do a retelling of that. But then again, we all know how that ends. A retelling, but it's a murder mystery. Smart girl, smart. She can do it. I'm just saying. Next on the list I have is Axiom, who has written Rebel Soul and its sequel, Rogue Heart. Please, one of you has read Rebel Soul, please, like, tell me in the comments. I need someone to fangirl with. I have not found someone else who likes Rebel Soul, like, that I know or can talk to. And she's also written XOXO and The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, which is her most recent work. And she's working on this one called The Floating Worlds. It's a duology. I don't know, it's interesting. It has a theater troupe in it, like, it's magical. It's coming out, though, like, next year. Or is it the year after? 2 years, maybe? I don't know, I can't wait that long. She's so good at her writing. I love it. I always get drawn into it. Okay, so Rebel Soul and Rogue Heart is dystopian, futuristic stuff, and XOXO is contemporary K-pop novel, so of course I love it. And The Girl Beneath the Sea is an epic fantasy set in a magical world based off of Korea, you could say. Definitely because like the magic in this world and well, the two worlds that this is set in technically is based off of like Korean mythology, which is really good, actually, a retelling of a Korean myth. Wait, what? Let me see. I found a bookmark. Dude, I found a bookmark. What I want her to write is a video game thriller. I have not read a video game thriller yet, but it's something I am interested in reading. And maybe I have. I don't know, something set in the virtual world. What I'm talking about is, I guess, Ready Player One. I never have read that book, but I mean, it sounds interesting. And also, like, I think Warcross. I haven't read Warcross. I almost decided not to read that, but then I decided maybe I will, because I heard there was like a scene, appropriate scene. Maybe I'll just, I'm grown up, like I can skip through it, or like just like quickly go. It won't affect me that much. I don't know. I have to figure this out. Anyway, video game thrillers would be really good for her. Something that, you know, the character goes in a virtual world. Like I Have Minds. I have yet to read that. It's on my shelf. But of course, you know me. I haven't read it yet. I'm not going to read it until I buy all the books in that series. I love James Dashner, honestly. But she could totally do this because in Rebel Soul, the characters who are going into the military, the main character is going into the military. And a lot of the training stuff they do, because there's a war happening, they have to really train for that, is virtual. And so she already has that down. But I would love to see her like do one where, I don't know, they actually, it's like traveled. I have not read enough virtual novels to be able to set expectations, but I do know she has written stuff like that, and she's already kind of written in that genre, so I feel like she could rock going full on into the video game or virtual genre of books, and I would totally read it. But, you know, I'd read anything that she writes, and I mean it. Like, I really would read anything that she writes. Last but certainly not least is Cat Cho. Or is it Chow? Cho. I don't know how to say her name. Someone correct me in the comments, please. It's spelled like this. You could see it. Yeah. She is the author of the Wicked Fox and Vicious Spirits books. It's in a duology. I just forgot how to pronounce the name of the duology. Gamiho, I don't know. And a book that I really want to read that's on my list called Once Upon a K-Prom, which is a contemporary novel that is about a girl and she doesn't want to go to prom. That's a weird way to start an explanation of the book, but she doesn't want to go to prom. She has other stuff she'd rather do until her friend Robbie, who went off and became a very famous K-pop idol, comes back and says he's going to take her to prom because they made a promise when they were younger. Isn't that adorable? But, you know, stuff happens because, you know, he's a K-pop star and he's pretty much K-pop royalty. And so fans are going to go nuts and, I really need to read this. I really need to, but I need to buy it first. That's... I don't want to do that right now because I want to buy it from like Amazon. I don't want to buy it from like a used book place. And like buying it at like Books A Million would probably be more expensive than buying it on Amazon. But anyway, enough from that. The Wicked Fox and Vicious Spirits is urban fantasy. That's the best way I could do it. Like, think Percy Jackson, but with Korean mythology. But it's not written like Percy Jackson. That was a bad example because there's a certain writing style that you have to have with Percy Jackson. That's not in here. Definitely her writing style is not like Percy Jackson writing style. But I'm just trying to give you an idea. Basically, this starts off with our Jihoon. I love Jihoon. He's my boy. Anyway, he runs into this girl who is Gamiho, which is a Korean nine-tailed fox who's been swooped Maya, this is also her story too. I'm sorry. Okay, so Maya is a Anywho, and it's just hard life for her. Always keeping it secret. She never really lets anyone get close until she meets Jihoon, who has seen like her do some weird stuff, and then they go to the same school, and that just kind of gets weird because Jihoon is just like, he's the type of friendly guy who just never gives up, and that's annoying to somebody like Maya. But basically, they kind of have to get stuck in this like thing. This thing happens basically where she loses her pearl, and they have to get back in her, and they get caught in the middle of this feud thing between her family and this other thing. That doesn't really happen though to like the end of the book, so I don't really know why that's a big thing here. I don't know. If I read this again, I would understand it. Vicious Spirits is a sequel to this. I won't tell you about that because you have to read this first. Isn't the cover beautiful? Anyway, I want her to write dystopian. I would love to see her write a dystopia. I feel like she'd be amazing at writing a dystopia. She'd probably do it like set in Korea, because she tends to always put her novels like have a Korean element in them because she is Korean American. And so I would love to see her set something in there, or even make a fantasy world where she does like a dystopia fantasy world or something. Just anything really dystopian with her, or something like post-apocalypse. I know those aren't the same genre, but they often like overlap. So I wouldn't be surprised if she did a post-apocalypse or a dystopia. I feel like she'd be really good at it because she's good with her characters. She makes very complicated relationships. Even though sometimes I want to hit her main character, I want to hit Mayang. She's a good character. She's a character I don't like. I like her, but I don't like her. You know, like I love reading her, but Jihoon's where it's at. I love Jihoon. Anyway, so she would be good with the characters, and she could totally write about a rebellion. Like, because there's always a rebellion in dystopian novels, And I could see her writing like very good political intrigue, because like, when there's like political intrigue, that always adds like spiciness to like novels like this, depending on the author and writing style and the characters. A lot of factors depend on like the political intrigue, but I would definitely want to see her write that, and I can't wait to see what novel she decides to write next. Am I the only person who like checks on their writers almost like all the time, hoping that there's a new novel that they're going to write? Like, you see that's on for pre-order. I don't think I'm alone. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video of genre swapping authors. I'm sorry if I sounded weird. Well, weirder than normal because allergies and my nose gets weird and when I talk a lot, like this stuff, it's weird. I'm not gonna give you the TMI. That kind of was TMI though, so I already did it. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you want to see more of our videos. Keep us videos coming, Comment on what authors you would like to see like genre swapped in. Like, what genre do you think your favorite authors could like dip into? Because I really want to hear more of this. So please comment down below, because I would really like to start the discussions on this, and that would be totally cool. So definitely like comment down below like authors you want to see like genre swap, and like do you have ideas? Maybe your author will see this comment and they'll be like, that's a brilliant idea, I'm gonna do it. Maybe one of these authors will see it. If one of those authors does come across my channel, hi, fangirl mode activated. Oh my gosh. Hi, I am a writer and I hope I can be as amazing as you guys. You guys are so cool. Anyway, fangirling disactivated, though not fully. Have a great day, everybody. Remember that Jesus loves you, and do not be afraid to explore. Dip your fingers into other stuff.